Someone else.
Yeah, that's. So, what else we got on there, Charlie? Thank you.
Andrea,
That's people live next to Chip Stahl's job there on Upper Main Street.
You haven't done any more damage.
No.
You have not done any more damage.
Yeah. All right,
But it's hoping-
Mary's entered the waiting room. Charlie, what do we do there?
Just look at it.
I should put it down to the folder. Where can't you see it?
Hi.
Okay, fine. I'm not even sure if we can.
Yeah, with you, Judy, and Mary.
Okay, and you, okay.
I'm not a commissioner.
It doesn't, but
A quorum, if we need
But-
with Mary, Judy, and you are as
okay, so
commissioners, that's a quorum.
that's.
Oh, scanning.
All right, so let's
Well-
get,
No, that's only 3, right? Is Ben there?
Ben is not on. He was gonna try to make it. He's off on.
Yeah, so that's the problem is, Dave, we have 7 slots, I think, or 6.
I believe it's 5.
Well, I've asked for 5, but it's not 5. That's why we have such a problem, is we need 4 members in order to have a quorum.
I always thought it was five members of the. I see. What isn't on, even though I asked him to be here. Did you get that email?
Yeah,
I always thought it was 5 members, Mary.
well, that's why I emailed Erica, is because it's,
Yeah,
if it's 5, then you don't count, I think is how it works. I mean, it's really frustrating to not know for sure.
I thought Dave counted as well. I know I as staff do not, but they would be the
but
list.
you're the DPW rep, so.
Yeah, so staff doesn't count, so Charlie doesn't count, Drew doesn't count, Dale doesn't count. On the website, it lists 6 names, one of them is vacant. So to get a quorum, we would need 4.
Here's Ben now, maybe. Hey, Ben. Are you gonna be able to join? It's right now. Okay. Okay, and then I can talk to you later. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, great. All right, perfect. Ben's joining us. We have.
Fantastic.
We'll have to wait for him to get on. Dale's our
Yeah.
our-
Dale,
our
town
advisor.
arborist.
He's our advisor. Yeah, I told Whit that if he didn't show to resign.
Mhm. Well, that doesn't help us because
No,
it's still
no.
6 positions, but we need more people.
That does not help us, but nobody else seems to to be queuing up to join either. So,
I did, oh, there's Ben. So for future reference, you can participate by phone as well. It doesn't have to be Zoom or in person. So if that ever helps.
It's been in?
Ben's in. So, okay. You can hear us, Ben?
He's muted, I think.
Oh, you're muted, Ben. Can't do anything with that. Okay, so let's bring the meeting to order now that we have, oh, there's Ben. Okay,
Yeah, hi, okay.
all right, great. All right, so I'll bring the meeting to order. Let's see, we've got we got a motion on the acceptance of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Okay, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, everybody's had a look at the minutes of the last meeting we had, which was 11/17. Do we have a motion on that?
I move
So move, yep,
to
second.
accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
So let's move on to the agenda. Andrea, do you want to speak about anything?
Sure. Hi, this is Andrea Bradford,
Yes.
and I was just curious what's being done to make sure that the elm on Main Street at 126 is being taken care of and helped after it had that severe cut to its roots.
Dale, you can.
I can assure you that I am up on top of this every single day.
Oh, that's terrific.
I can assure you that there has not been any more damage. And as soon as I can get in to do a little weight reduction, we will.
Oh, that's great. And what about can the town provide some fertilizer for it or to help it with all the damage that it
Yeah.
incurred?
Right now, this is not the time of year to do it, so we'll do it in early spring.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fertilizer regulations. You can't fertilize until after April 15th. So
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
It would be deep root fertilizer.
And that goes in May.
April 15th, after that point or sometime, I will keep you addressed to what's going on with that process.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate it because we've been worried about it. It's been such tough weather. I know one of the big trees went down.
Yeah, fortunately, that has been a process. I knew we were going to eventually lose that one due to the way it grew. I did everything I could do to save it, but I mean, sometimes nature outworks all of us.
Of course, with this harsh weather we've all been having, it's dangerous. But anyway, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for keeping me updated.
You can always call the DPW and get some information from me directly. So.
Okay. Thanks so much. I really appreciate what you all are doing.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Let's move on to old business. Further discussion of fines and mitigation payments for illegal tree removals, etc. Charlie, you've made some pretty good.
Yes, I was circulated some materials.
Yeah.
For the last meeting. I probably don't have them with it exactly, but I think what we need to do as a committee is come up with a fee structure. I think we want to ask that.
Judy, you have it?
I kind of had a comment and a question. I thought all that stuff was really good. I admit I read it for the last meeting and then forgot to reread it for this meeting. So, but one thing that jumped right out at me was the possibility of penalizing the contractor, because the owners don't care, but the contractors probably really would care. And it may make them more reluctant to take down a tree or interfere with a tree that could possibly be a town tree if they thought they were going to get penalized. it's a little shitty because they're the people that live on they don't deserve to be penalized. But that might be something to think about instead of people that, I want a swimming pool, I don't care kind of thing. I'm just throwing, that was in one of the things, Charlie, that you sent around.
Yeah, well, so
They said you ought to know the law.
once we propose our fees and then figure out how we impose the fee
Yeah,
structure, it's possible that
the owner of I think ultimately has to be responsible.
Absolutely.
Somebody goes rogue on doing something that like a misunderstanding or something, but I think the homeowner, the property owner is ultimately should be responsible.
I think the best way to make them responsible if they are already knowing that they buying a piece of property with a town tree on it.
Right.
If they buy a tree and nobody let them know the town tree and the damage has been done,
Right.
then it is on us as a town. But if they know there's a town tree, I don't think no property should be done without me going to look and see if there's a town tree on it. Once I designate as a town tree or suggest that it is, I think they need to let the homeowner know so then they can make a decision. Well, because I got a tree on this property, I don't want it. I can move. You know what I'm saying? So
some are obvious. Like for instance, recently, Dale and I have had to deal with the new owners of the Easton Guest House, and what's the other one on North Water Street?
Yes.
They wanted to take down this big elm. I mean, they were gonna sound like they were just gonna take it down.
They already tried to hire contractors.
They tried to hire contractors, and fortunately, Dale has put the fear of God in most people here that would be doing that kind of work, and I think everybody pretty much backed off, and they've since kind of just
let it go.
So anyway, we have that's one way we're able to police things, I think. But I think codifying everything is something that, I mean, the statute is, I think the statute is there, at least for fines. It's $500. The mitigation is the thing that interests me the most.
right. And I think for us, because we're in a unique situation, and a couple of, there are different towns and different things. I think like Somerville has got a flat rate, and Cambridge is based on the size of the tree. So the committee should decide how they want to do it. I would suggest we're in a unique position because of our elms, that the cost of somebody taking down an elm should be different than somebody taking down like a linden.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So maybe we have a scale where we say, okay, I'm just going to throw out numbers here, that it's, $1,000 an inch for a town-owned tree. Unless it's an elm, then it's, $3,000 per inch DBH, because essentially we can't replace those trees. You can go out and buy another linden and slap it in, but the elms should get a little bit more. So I mean, that would be up to the committee to decide how we want to do that, or if it's just a blanket, it's going to be a one number per, no matter what the tree is, or how we'd like to approach it. So we've got the two things there. We need to ask council, do we want to increase our fine to $500, and then the mitigation fee is then the second part of it. And I would suggest one for the elms and one for all other town trees.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can. I'm not sure if we can increase the fines, because that's kind of a statutory thing.
Well, that can, so it's the state allows for up to 500.
Yeah.
We're currently at 300.
Right.
So I believe we just have to run it through town council to increase the fine. And again, that fine is per tree. So if someone clears 3 trees off the property, you could fine them for each tree, and then mitigation for each tree.
What we need to do is get that ball rolling, so when it happens, we can make sure that we give them all the legal works of it and let them know you will get fined and it has to be paid.
Yeah. We got it. Again, coinciding with that, we have to have some kind of a letter, of a fining letter to somebody.
Yes.
On town stationery.
Right. So the first couple of steps here is one, we need to make sure that we've got all of our town trees identified. I know, Ben, you were looking at getting some more medallions, to get as many of the medallions up on trees that aren't done yet. That's at least a first start. And then the committee needs to decide what the mitigation fees are going to be. And then once we decided that mitigation things and vote, the committee votes on that, I think that's when we would, through Drew, the director of the DPW, talk to town council about how to make that official. And then once that's made official, then, you know, we would set up whatever, you know, basically a form letter.
Yep.
You know, the dollar amount would be determined at the time of the incident by Dave and Dale, you know, species of the tree plus the size would then, you know, off a chart, basically.
Again, do this go to root damage as well?
Yes.
It should.
It should, I mean, I think it should cover all damage regardless of whether it's the one root, 2 root, 3 root.
Well, damaging roots is like pruning a tree. You know,
Yeah.
There's some of the language. I'll have to go. I don't have the documents with me, but with some of the stuff that's sent around, there's different things for. You know, the mitigation may not have to take place. Like if somebody just prunes a town tree legally, I don't know if you can go after the full mitigation and restitution because the trees, unless the tree were to die down the road.
Well, if you've seen some of the pruning they do out
Right, but you know, there's if somebody goes down and, you know, say we'll go back to York Street where they cut that tree down and you showed up as it's cut in half.
Yeah.
That would be a fine for the tree plus a mitigation thing. But if somebody prunes a tree, we would have to keep track of who they are. You would issue the fine for the illegal pruning, and then if say the tree were to die in a year, and then it's determined by the tree warden, the town arborist, that it died because of
which would be hard.
the pruning, then you can go back for the mitigation. I believe is how it would work.
The root damage, I mean, pruning, the root damage is something that shows up later. But now, getting back to the mitigation though, according to what I'm reading in that statute, you know, it really involves, you know, kind of a court thing. It's not something that we can mitigate by saying this is what you owe us. It's a court related. It has to go. It has to go to court.
Yeah, these would all be things that once we set our fines, that when we talk to town council, they would advise. You know, we want to find out from them how do we apply this. What's the proper?
Yeah.
You know, are you fully empowered to just write a ticket, or what's the full process? You know, do we have to? You know, is there a ticket for the fine? Does it then go to select board to say, here's what we're looking for mitigation. These are our rates. This is the size of the tree that we're taking down. This is how we came to this figure. Those would all be questions for town council, I believe.
Yeah, if we could ever talk to town council, that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think before we make the approach, we want to make sure we've got our rates.
Yep.
Yeah, have all of our ducks in a row. So when we approach them, we've got our list of questions, and
Well,
you know,
I think
get the answer we're looking for.
I think we just have to present what we think. I mean, let's bat around some figures. I mean, I think say if something 24 inches, say 24 inches DBH, if it's $3,000, what's that translate to? If it's an elm,
$63,000 or something.
72,000 for.
that's
Great.
72,000.
for I think it has to be exorbitant.
How big
Yeah.
was it down? What was for the DVH on that one? The storm.
Probably at least 4 feet wide.
36
Or something.
Say it's 40 inches. What, you know, for something that's irreplaceable, I mean, I just, how do you put a figure on that?
Right.
You know, but I'm thinking that, you know, for elms, it should be at least, what's 25,000 times 40 inches?
It'd be 200,000,
What?
$2 million.
Still, that $2 million?
$2 million.
2 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 40
off by
inches and
0.
25,000 is 2 million.
Scare somebody anyway, you know, but it's not gonna replace an elm that's been there for 170 years or so. And
It's mostly there as a deterrent. I mean, because even if we're talking $72,000, if you've got an $8 million home and you want a swimming pool, 72,000 is just an added cost, you know. And some people would take it, and that's not what we're after. We don't want the money, we want the tree.
But I do think the higher the mitigation, you have to then start thinking, is it worth another million for me to have a swimming? I mean, there will be a threshold where it would cause eyebrows to be raised. Let's put it in that population of people. So,
Well, I also
having-
think that the it's not a cost analysis really. It's because the spot always exists for that tree. So it is a deterrent, and if you're looking at $2 million, it certainly gets people's attention. But like Mary said, we don't want the money. We want the tree.
You don't want the money.
But it's all things really on this, and I think that this whole fine structure needs to start with like a baseline fine for anything, like any damage, any pruning, any cutting of a tree is just X dollars right out of the gates for everybody. That sort of covers everything. And then from there we have a sliding scale of mitigation fees for species type and DBH and stuff. So we'll have to parse this all out, but what do we need to go? We just need to get some language together. So do we? I mean, Charlie sent around a lot of good information. Do we have a sort of a limit we can set, at least to get out of the gates on maximum fine structure,
I think
pre-mitigation?
I think we can start with, well, what was it? Somerville that had the highest amounts that seemed to be passing muster in that city.
But one city had high fines, but then you got something like a residential discount that ended up not being so much. Was that some other place, or was that Somerville?
Yeah, that was.
You know what I mean? Like the fine was huge, but then by the time you got around to paying it, it somehow wasn't. It looked like to me. Maybe I misread it, but I can look it up again.
I don't think we should be interested in residential exemptions and everything else.
Every town,
That's what I was. Yeah.
if you're looking at the trees in Cambridge and Somerville, a lot of it's so developed that a lot of the bigger trees that were near the streets are gone, and they're replaced with much smaller trees now. So there's a difference there. What's been how downtown has been preserved, and all those big elms have been forced. You have to work around them. We've been fortunate; it's been that way for years. So we'll just have to figure out, some language, and if we want to, decide on a rate, I can try to put some stuff together. Maybe see if I can get an email going with town council. Like, this is what we'd like to do. This is what these towns are doing.
I think we start with probably the highest baseline that just so we've got some precedent, and which I think 1,800 was the. I think it was.
That was the
$100.
1,800 is the amount in Somerville of mitigation per caliper inch.
That was the highest one. I don't have the stuff in front of me, but maybe start there all the way up to, more valuable trees that might be not elms, but older trees that.
Yeah, I mean, I
sycamore maples.
I don't want to devalue any tree.
Right.
That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to devalue any tree. I mean, if it's street.
There's a difference between a 40-year-old tree that's 24 inches across and a 240-year-old tree
That's exactly
24 inches across.
Maybe
Maybe there's an age factor we can put in.
For me, they still have the same value.
Size wise, I mean, a 240-year-old tree is going to be a big tree, though, and it should be. I mean, I can't imagine it not having,
the girl
survive that long. It would have a big. It would be.
But the point I was trying, it's not a linear progression. I mean, the trees grow a lot faster in the first part of their life than they do in the latter part of their life.
Well, I think that's why most people tend to do the cost based off the DBH, because it just makes it for less of an argument, instead of saying, well, Dave thinks it's 200 years old, Dale says, it's only 150. They may have some extra, if you're start getting into large quantities of money, they might hire somebody, they hire Scott comes in and goes, it's only 100 years old. And whereas if you can take a tape measure, you pull it across and say it's 40 inches, we're charging per inch,
Well,
and
no, I get that, Charlie. I think we should charge per inch as a measure of size, but I'm wondering if there's a multiplication factor or an additional charge, maybe, not based on what we estimate the tree's age to be, but we have records for a lot of these big elms about when they were
that's
planted.
what my original thought was, to separate the elms
Yeah.
from all the species, because the elms in
Yes.
particular are so delicate to us and are irreplaceable.
Mhm.
Whereas all the other trees, while they may be old, could be replaced. That's where I think the jump needs to be. And again, with anything else, when you try to present these things, try to keep it as simple as possible to say, the elms, we're separating these out because of what they are. That's just my take on it. It's obviously up to the committee to decide.
The way I'm just looking at the numbers, and I think starting at 1,800 a caliper inch for mitigation would be the place to start. That seems to be a pretty good figure, just based on what it would be worth caliper-wise. And probably 25,000 for a specimen elm, or an American elm would be. And I think we gotta sort of arbitrarily do this, but we have to set something. Otherwise, we have no basis in court to try it. If this is,
I don't know if we should have the hybrid elms the same as the
no,
other trees.
I wouldn't. American, that's why I said American.
Yeah. I would think so.
Hybrid.
Well, I think, if we say what you're saying, $500 fine, $1,800 per caliper inch for trees that are not elms, there's a precedent, at least in Somerville, which you can tell, or we can say this is precedented. I don't know whether there's anything out there especially protecting elms, but I don't think there's any reason not to give it a big shot trying to protect American elms. I think putting up a really exorbitant amount per inch on elms is totally justified. And the worst will happen is we'll be told that we can't put that much on, but we can at least give it a good shot. I mean, what's wrong with saying 10,000 or 25,000 per inch for an American elm?
Now, is this a town bylaw that we've got to transact here, or is it is a Somerville mitigation? Is
Sorry.
that part of the town bylaw, or is that just based on statute and the mitigation is whatever it is? And that I don't know how you. I'm not sure how we codify it. Other than another bylaw.
In Somerville, I'm looking at the thing and it sounds like there's a law that no healthy public tree can be considered for removal unless a public shade tree hearing is held. But then I think the rest of it is Somerville Tree Preservation Ordinance. So it sounds more like a city ordinance.
So it's a bylaw. It's a
Bylaw. Yeah, that's how I read it without
so we'd
going.
have to take this.
That's what's in, it looks like.
This is probably something that would have to go to town council and then get on town meeting, right?
So let's start writing that, if we can.
Yeah, I think we got to start somewhere, right? Right up. Let's write up. We'll miss the next town meeting probably. I mean, it'd be great, but when's the next town meeting?
Well, we can hope.
We've missed 2024's town meeting. That warrant closed yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well,
But there was a discussion at last night's select board meeting that the select board has certain powers to set regulations that don't even go through town meeting.
okay.
So there's 3 tiers. There's what the select board can do on its own, what town meeting can do on its own and what the state can do for us. And I think only town council can advise us as to which tier we can qualify for with what we want to do. But we do have to have something in front of them in order for them to tell us.
So if we could put that together, maybe based on the Somerville language,
Mhm.
but add our own
Yeah.
knowledge in there.
Sure.
Good. All right, that's.
And on the medallions, Charlie, just to answer that, I have talked to this supplier a few times now, and they assure me that that they can do this. And I said, okay, we're all ears. You tell me what you need. But I've sent them the pictures of the example that we have, and I've asked for numbers, from 9, I think, starting at 1,000 to 1,000 to 2,000 or something like that. So we'll have enough to do all of our trees once we get them. So I'll follow up again with them, but they have assured me they have somebody that can do it.
Okay, yeah, if you email them, if you wanna tag me in it.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that next time. Yeah.
Get them set up as a vendor for the town.
Yeah, great.
Me and Dale just took off a bunch, so we have about 30. Maybe.
Okay,
You know, the trees, like the high school trees, like those are.
yeah, you don't have to worry about
Yeah,
that.
so we took a lot off of them.
Okay. So you have some, Scotty, that you can use for in the interim.
All right, okay, let's, any other additional thoughts on what we've been discussing, or can we? All right, sewer construction update. Since Dale's not here, Scotty, you and Dale have a look at what's going on Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah, so far, it looks like they were far enough away,
Okay,
in our opinion, like they.
what did they do? Did they jog around those big elms? I mean, to the other side of the street?
Yeah, they moved over.
Okay,
I think he moved more in the center
okay,
of the road, it looks like.
but you didn't see any roots or anything, or did you
I
guys?
didn't actually, well, we didn't,
You probably weren't there when they were.
yeah,
actually
we
happened.
yeah, we really
that's
went
excellent.
there, but in our opinion, I think they were pretty
Okay.
far away.
Now concurrent with that, yeah, I guess that would be the only update that I'd be interested in. But concurrent with this is the sidewalk improvements at that location that Mary's.
Right. So I went and took photos. I sent them to Charlie, and it's very clear that the public has worn a path onto private property to be able to walk around the two historic elms that are, I think it's 8 and 12 Atlantic Avenue. And so I talked to Andrew Vorse, and he said, if we wanted to ask the property owners, would they be interested in providing an easement to the town so that the sidewalk could officially be constructed on their property in order to, formalize that path that's been worn into the ground? That should be a fairly simple thing to do, assuming that the owners are willing to do that. The town has done things like that in the past, not for this specific kind of thing, but just in general. And usually what the town does is it pays for the work to be done. So Ben, are you chiming in, or?
I think he's talking to somebody else.
Okay. So the first thing to do would be to approach the homeowner and say, are you interested in giving the town an easement for this sidewalk to be fixed up so that you don't have this path on your property? And the town would take care of making and paying for the improvements, and see what we get. So
No. Yeah, I think, isn't there, I know along Lily Street and other places where this sewer is being constructed, there's improvements to the sidewalks. Is that something?
I haven't asked David Gray yet what the plan is there, but because the sewer is not ripping up the sidewalk on Atlantic, I was assuming that he does not have any plans to improve the sidewalk. And maybe the DPW knows more about it. I don't know.
So maybe if
Yeah.
DPW can get in touch with the homeowners. I mean, you got.
I haven't heard anything about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not even sure that the one house is, I mean, didn't that get sold or something?
Yeah, I think 12 was recently.
Oh, that's 12, so
Yeah.
it's not, is that,
Yeah, 8 and 12 are the two properties with the elms in front.
all right, well, we'll see what we can do.
But you know, Andrew's opinion was this was perfect timing for this location because of the sewer project, that there may be capacity within that project to fold these improvements in.
Okay.
You know, rather than trying to go get separate funding and that sort of thing. So yeah, if the DPW can connect with the sewer department and find out more about what might be possible and ask the homeowners if they'd be interested, you know, we might be able to do something good for the community and good for the trees at the same time.
Agreed. All right, so can you talk to Drew about that then? Yeah. All right, let's see what we can do.
All we can do is ask, you know.
Sure, yeah. I think it's be good. Storm, let's see, storm damage. We sort of just talked about the tree. Anything else, Scotty?
I mean, there was,
Just normal
it
stuff?
wasn't that bad,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
That tree was like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's, branches on the ground here and there, but.
Yeah.
There was
Okay.
no major damage to
Good.
any elms.
Good.
Removal of ash, obviously, that was the first thing. Oh, new streets concept, the ash.
Oh, that was a while back though.
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
But other than that,
Okay,
everything
good.
looks good.
That's good. All right.
So I had the other item of new
So the
business,
other-
Dave.
Yeah.
Do you want me to share my screen, Charlie, to,
Yeah.
Sure. Apologize, I didn't have a chance to send that out. I got
I'm gonna try to do that.
buried this morning, some of the things.
All right, let's see if this works. So you should see a picture of a tree.
There it is.
Okay, so this on the left, this is 15 Pleasant Street. This happens to be where I grew up, so I'm very familiar with this spot. And this elm tree was planted, I think it followed an oak tree that was there before, or maybe the oak tree was in the foreground. You see the sidewalk is a little bit different color there. I think that's where the oak tree was, and then maybe when that one was gone, the other one was put in the other place. But anyway, I had planted an elm tree on the property, so behind that white picket fence, years ago, and it was thriving. But after the property was sold, they decided to put a driveway, and they took that elm tree out. And I think this elm tree went in after that. So the property was sold in 2008. So this elm tree, I'm guessing, unless we have records that can pin it down, is been there less than 15 years. And so this is what the sidewalk looks like at the base of that tree. It's popped the bricks up. You can see that there's the root, that's breaking the plane of the sidewalk. And why wouldn't it? Because that's the only place that there's dirt is in that direction. And this just made me think about the practicality of planting trees in the sidewalk on Nantucket. It just isn't. I mean, if this is less than 15 years and it's already bucking the bricks out, it just doesn't make sense to do that. Personally, I'd really rather pursue trees on private property, although we know that that comes with its own set of challenges and risks to the trees. But I thought it would be good to really think about whether this tree was planted in a good place. From the canopy position, yes, it fills a wonderful spot in the canopy. But if this is what we're going to get in just a few years' time after planting something, I really have to wonder if it's worth it.
That's a dilemma. There's houses are so close to the street, and what do you do for the streetscape? In those areas. I mean, it's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I'd hate to see streets devoid of any kind of, any kind of tree canopy. And certainly most of the sidewalks in town have houses cheap to jowl along the sidewalk. So there's very little places to really plant. And of course, that tree is a tree that you were showing there is, I'm pretty sure it's a Valley Forge elm, the one that broke up. Yeah. That one's got a big piece missing in it, doesn't it, Mary? The one, doesn't have, is that the one?
It definitely shows that it lost some limbs, yes.
They break up easily.
Yeah,
It's not something
just
that I would
cleaned
even
that,
suggest. Maybe, if we're gonna be planting on the sidewalk, something that's gonna put roots out kind of downward rather than, surface rooting like an elm sort of, where there's no, probably not the best. We found that Valley Forge or not, it's a hybrid American elm, that's been touted as disease resistant. It's really not that great a tree. Something else there would probably be much better, like an oak. That probably some kind of an oak. It's gonna put down deep roots.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share the observation about the sidewalk, and, and the realization that, we're doing a lot of sidewalk work in town. Let's not make it harder on ourselves if we can avoid it.
It's a delicate balance, I think. And if you've ever read that Trees or No Trees or whatever it was that was published back in the late 40s. And the suggestion there was definitely try to get what's the word I'm looking for? Permission slips from homeowners to put trees on private property, which is the best way to do it. But we've certainly run into problems with that too, as properties are transferred. So I hate not.
Thank you for taking a look at it with me.
Yeah.
As a note of interest, are there trees that tend, to be better about rooting downward rather than spreading outward as much as the elms seem to?
Yeah,
That could be better choices. If we, because I kind of hate the idea of bare streets.
right,
But on the other hand, I have to laugh when Mary's talking because Milk Street, you can't walk on the sidewalk everyone walks in the street because those big old elms have taken over the whole sidewalk.
it's like that. But we certainly don't want to lose, that's out of the question. It's just.
Oh, you'd never take down the elm, but I'm talking about new plantings.
Right.
We might have some trees that could be recommended as more suitable.
Yeah, oaks and I don't know what else. Can't get ash anymore, but
Sweet gums.
sweet gums tend to put down deep roots. There's a variety of trees. I'm just not thinking of offhand.
No, I just meant so that people say, well, gee, we'd like to replace this tree. There could be some better suggestions than trees that are going to cause trouble and wreck the sidewalk. So eventually, if they all get big, they'll block the sidewalk, but that's fine.
Oh, what is here?
One thing to note, I'm sorry, hang on a second. Yeah, I'm back. I'm unmuted. One thing to note too is there was some talk when the Main Street reconstruction projects first started kind of coming up about there are definitely better ways different methodology to plant trees and site preparation and creating space for trees. Now there's been a lot of research done in urban plantings environments that really give trees the amount of space and airspace they need within the soil structure. And it does the job of giving the trees their space and allowing for structural elements to be built on top of roads, sidewalks, stuff like that without, really the roots are just trying to find air and pore space. And that's when you get sidewalk heaving and things like that.
Right?
I think I just lost you. Yeah, I think I might have just lost you.
We can hear you. Yep.
We're getting echo from Witt's login.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You want me to sign out? I don't know how to get rid of that.
No,
No,
think-
you're
Okay,
fine
now.
with.
now that you're talking, I'm not getting any feedback. Are you still getting feedback? We're not getting any here.
No, I think if Witt was watching on YouTube or some other way, then we were getting a double audio for a little bit, but it seems fine now.
Welcome, Whit. Long
Yeah,
time.
hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Just having some technical difficulties. Sorry for my previous attendance. Hope everybody's doing well and Happy New Year.
Same to you, Whit. All is forgiven as long as you show up every time.
Yeah, sorry for the lateness, but did the best I could. Okay.
Glad you're here. I think we're just about done.
Okay.
Anything else? Anything else? Anybody got anything else?
Do we have any action items or an action list, Dave? Those are on the agenda, but I didn't know if there was anything there.
I mean, not that I know of. I mean, the action list is really the main thrust of what we've been talking about recently was fines and mitigation. So, but as far as I don't know of any. Charlie, you know of anything?
Nothing really, marching orders going forward, we get these fine stuff structured that we can talk to.
All right.
everybody
I
else.
think we're good. All right. I'm not sure if we're gonna have a meeting next month. I'm not, well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be here. We're at that point, but what's the date? I might be here actually. Let's not,
15th?
we'll play that one by ear. As far as next month.
It'd be February 15th.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely be. Okay. You got a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Favor?
favor.
It's time. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Whit.
Yeah, Ben, Dave, I'm sorry, my phone died and I ran home. I've got new computer and just a lot of technical issues I'm trying to work through. So better luck next time.
Sounds good.
But I'll check the agenda.